Welcome back to my channel, Kelly Rene Every Day, where I'm here dedicated to teaching you the fundamentals of crochet. So I am super excited about this project as I believe that most everybody is interested in at some point, and usually early on, you have aspirations of making a beautiful Afghan that was homemade, one of a kind, and it's a creation that you can treasure, and it can be even a family heirloom for years to come. And so what I have here today is it is a work in progress. It is not a completed Afghan yet, but I wanted to show you really how to get started, and I wanted to also highlight this really beautiful stitch called, I call it the up down stitch. So first and foremost, you're going to notice that I am using this self-striping yarn by Caron Yarn Inspirations, and it's a cake, and it's called Buttercream. Okay, now this particular cake has beautiful colors in it, and it creates the striping that we see here. So you're going to notice there's gray and this purple and mauve and this kind of olivey color, and then there's an ivory, and it continues to repeat. And I just am loving the colors and how it's turned out. What I want to do is I want to highlight using this yarn because I love the colors. I was drawn to it, and I thought this would be the perfect project for using yarn like this. This yarn happens to be a number 4 weight, and on the label it suggests using a number 5mm or a 5mm hook. And I actually went with something much larger. And the reason I did is when we have something like an Afghan, we kind of want it to be soft and flowy. We don't want it to be stiff. And the smaller the hook that you're going to use, the stiffer, the tighter those stitches are going to work. So I actually picked for this application for an Afghan an 8mm hook. So that means that my barrel at the top here is a diameter of 8mm rather than 5. I do have a 5mm hook here, and we can kind of compare those two different sizes. Okay, so you can see that this one is much smaller. So if I would use what's suggested on here, I would get that smaller size stitch, which would make the Afghan be stiffer. And I was looking for something more flowy, so I went up to an 8mm. Now I'm really happy with this size because as I'm kind of working it, I can feel that it's going to be a great weight on an Afghan. Now I chose a Susan Bates hook. I will have the link to this hook in the description. I'm really liking these hooks. I actually came upon them. There was a review and said that they split yarn less, and I don't know. I have to say I have been splitting the yarn less since I've been using these. So I bought myself kind of a small little set, and then I've got this one as well. This one has kind of that ergonomic handle on it, which I'm also liking. Now, as far as size, the size of my Afghan, I'm not going to be able to kind of show you the full thing here, but the length of my chain is 68 inches long. And I actually measured one of my favorite Afghans that I use, in our house, and I'm going to make it 68 long by about 35 to 40. I'm going to kind of see how that goes. Now, right now, the width that I have here is 14 inches wide, and this took 2 full cakes of this yarn. Okay, I'm thinking I'm going to be going at least 3 to 4 more cakes. Okay, so that would mean that I'm going to be 5 to 6 cakes for my entire Afghan. Now, because this is number 4 weight, which is just kind of an average, size weight, it's not considered bulky, it's a medium. The yarn is going to be about 5 to 7, or maybe even 8 cakes, depending on how large you want to go. Now, if you go with a thicker yarn, obviously you're not going to use as much of it because it's going to bulk up quicker. So it's really going to be a personal preference. But again, I picked this yarn because of the colors that were here, the self-striping ability, if you would, so I don't have to try to change yarn and tie things together, and I'm just loving how it's looking. So let's get a feel for how to do the up down stitch that we have here and how to start your work. So because there are two stitches in this combination, it is going to be the half double crochet and the slip stitch. That is what creates that beautiful texture. Because there's two stitches, we are going to need an even number of stitches in the row that we work. Okay, so that means that my foundational chain needs to be an odd number. Okay, so in this case, this is my mini Afghan, I worked 15 stitches, and I am then going to, for my first row, I'm going to do a row of single crochets. So I create kind of a nice even line that I'm going to start then my alternating stitches on. So right now I have this one coming through here, so I'm going to go into the second chain from my hook, and I'm going to single crochet all the way. So a single crochet is simply going in, yarn over, pull up a loop. I've got 2 on my hook. I'm going to yarn over and pull through. And again, in, yarn over, 2 on, yarn over, and pull through. Now, I will link below in my description some videos for some of these beginner stitches, meaning for the single crochet, for the for getting the yarn on the hook if you need to. But I would tell you, now this is a beginner project. I will say that. This is not hard to do. But I will say before starting an Afghan, I would suggest looking at some of the other projects that I have here on my channel to perfect your technique, to make sure that your tension is even, that you have a good rhythm, because you don't want to start with an Afghan. It's a big project, and I don't know. It's probably something that you work up to, okay? But if you're ready, then let's go, okay? So I think I've got this very last one here. Let's go back and kind of count how many stitches that we've created here. So I've got my single crochets. I'm going to look at my top where my V's are, and I'm going to have to kind of do this at the same time. Now I never count my loop here, all right? That was where my hook came through, but the base that it came through is my first stitch. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and then 14 is the V that's coming up on the corner. When I turn my work, it always usually kind of looks that way. So that very last full V on here is kind of, you know, making that corner. That is considered a stitch in the row. Now, on my next row here, so which would be considered, I guess, row number 2. So I have my chain, I've got my single crochets, and now I'm going to start my next row with a half double crochet. So that means that I need to chain 2 to obtain the proper height. And then I'm going to turn. Okay, so I'm going to turn so that I have my work going this way. Now, my first stitch is going to be that half double crochet. So that means I'm going to yarn over, and then I'm going to go into that base stitch. Now, before we go there, this is usually the beginning and the ends. The in-betweens are usually the easier part, but making sure that you get the first stitch. So as we look at my chain coming up here, here are my 2 chains. At the base here is that last stitch that you made on the row, but it's the first stitch as we turn. And I'm going to go underneath that V, directly underneath. So again, starting my half double crochet, get back into my loop here. Starting that half double crochet, I'm going to yarn over, and I'm going to go directly into that base stitch, yarn over again, get 3 up on my hook, yarn over, and pull all the way through. There's my first half double crochet. Now my next stitch is going to be the slip stitch. So I'm going to go directly in my next stitch here. I'm not yarning over, I'm going directly in. I'm going to now yarn over, pull that through, and now I'm going to pull through the loop that was on my hook. That simple. It's a quick stitch to do. Half double crochet, I'm going to yarn over, go into my work, yarn over, pull up. I've got 3 loops now. Yarn over and pull all the way through. Slip stitch next. Go directly in underneath those V's, yarn over, pull through, and keep pulling through the loop on your hook. half double crochet, yarn over, go in, yarn over, pull up 3, yarn over, pull through all 3. Okay. Slip stitch next. Go directly in underneath those V's, pull through and keep pulling through the loop on your hook. Yarn over, go in. This is my half double crochet, 3 on, yarn over, pull all the way through. Then we're going to go back in with the slip stitch, pull through and through again. So it's just you don't yarn over on the end. Then we're going to yarn over, we're going to do our half double crochet, go in, pull up 3, yarn over, and pull through. Here comes the slip stitch. Go directly in, yarn over, pull through, keep pulling through the loop on your hook. Yarn over for the half double crochet, pull all the way through 3, slip stitch in, yarn over, pull through, and keep pulling through the loop on your hook. Now I'm coming up to my last 2 stitches here, okay? I'm in good shape. I half double crochet the second to last, and then I'm going to slip stitch the last. Now, the last one, because it's a slip stitch, and I'm going to be half double crocheting as I turn the corner here, I want to be a little loose on this stitch, just because the slip stitch is a short little stitch, and if I do it too tight, it's going to be hard to get the next that first stitch in the next row in. So I'm gonna go in, pull through, and kind of keep this loop right here a little loose, okay? Then I'm gonna pull it all the way through. Okay, that's my slip stitch on the end. Now to start the next row, there's going to be a half double crochet as my first stitch, so I need to do 1, 2 chains, and then I'm going to turn. Now let's see what's happened. Okay, before, when I had my single crochet, it was nice and even across here. Do you see why I'm calling it the up down stitch? I'm going up down, up down, up down, up down, and that is because we do the half double crochet, which is a little bit taller stitch, then we do a short stitch, which is that slip stitch, and then we alternate back and forth, and that's what's creating these little diagonal lines as well. Okay, so it's got just beautiful texture. I just love it, and it's easy. It's easy to do. Okay, so now I did my chain 2, and I'm going to turn. I turn, and now I'm going to half double crochet as my first stitch, and I'm going to go right underneath the V's, and it's the one that's kind of moving upwards. And then I'm going to half double crochet in that first one. Then I'm going to go in, and I'm going to directly go into, for my slip stitch, pull through, and then pull through again. And then I'm going to half double crochet in the next one. Now, as we look here, I just did a half double crochet. You're going to notice that as we go, the downs, the ones that are moving downward here, that's going to be where my slip stitch is going to go in. And the ones that are going up, that's going to be where my half double crochet goes in. So visually, they're really easy to see where you're going to go. Okay, so I'm going to slip stitch into my next one, pull through and through again, and then I'm going to yarn over and go in and yarn over and pull through, half double crochet. Then my next one is going to be a slip stitch. So we're going to go directly in, pull through, and all the way through again, half double crochet. Okay, then a slip stitch. Okay, and so on, half double crochet. Half double crochets on the ups and slip stitches on the downs. Okay, all right. So I think that's probably enough for you to continue. Now the only difference is that you're going to be on a much longer line for your, if you choose to do an Afghan. But I just hope you enjoy this stitch. So 2 foundational stitches, the half double crochet and the slip stitch, you know, create this beautiful, beautiful texture. So so I'm excited to see what you make. Feel free to post pictures. I would love for you to like this this video, and then also I'd love for you to subscribe and enjoy the other projects that I have here. All right, until the next time, take care.